Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Honeysett, and I welcome you all here today for the funeral service of Harold Smith. I would like to welcome you all here on behalf of Harold's family, and as we take this time to remember what a true gentleman Harold was and to celebrate the beautiful life he lived. Harold's children, Tempest, Adrian, Christian, and Eric, would love to extend a warm welcome to those who have travelled to be with us here today, and to thank you all for coming to pay tribute to their father, as they know he touched each and every one of you here today. We have all gathered here to mourn the passing of Harold George Smith, who we all knew and loved as our beloved Harry. I am sure that Harry would not want you to grieve in hurt or pain, but to remember his life was filled with happiness, love, and joy. And so today, we say goodbye and thank you to Harry and celebrate a life very well lived. I would now like to call upon two of Harry's grandchildren, Zale and Fletcher, to say a reading in honour of their pa. Thank you, Zale and Fletcher. It is my honour here today to share with you about the life of Harold George Smith. After speaking with Harry's family and friends, I've come to the realisation that Harry wasn't just an incredible father and grandfather. He was an amazing friend, fisherman and husband, and it is my pleasure to deliver this eulogy today. Harry was born on the 10th of January 1953 to Christine and Robert Smith. They named him Harold George Smith. Harold because they wanted a strong name in case he ever became Prime Minister of Australia one day, and George after Robert's twin brother. He was the eldest child of four, with his siblings Peter, Abigail and Jude joining him as they grew up on the south coast of New South Wales. The family ran a small grocery store in Windale, and Harry loved spending his afternoons there with his father after school. Peter told me that the reason Harry would always rush to get to the shop first was because their father had a rule of whoever was the first one there of an afternoon to work would get the biggest scoop of ice cream for dessert that night, and Harry loved his ice cream. In fact, Harry met his beautiful wife Marion over ice cream, which only made their relationship even sweeter. Harry was on a boys' trip with his best mates in Nelson Bay in 1972 after their football grand final. He snuck off from the pub to go to the local ice cream store. Little did he know he would be meeting the love of his life there, working behind the counter. Marion served him that night his favourite mint choc chip ice cream, and when Harry went back to the pub, he told the boys he'd just met his future wife. While Marion didn't initially have the same feelings, Harry was back in the shop the next day and the following night, not just for the ice cream. By the third night, he worked up the courage to ask Marion to go for dinner with him the following night before the boys were heading back home. Their dinner lasted 5 hours, which turned into phone calls every day back and forth, long weekends together, love notes sent between them, all until the day Harry asked Marion to marry him. He proposed in his hometown of Windale one weekend when Marion was there to visit, and as they say, the rest is history. Within 3 months, the pair were married and living in Windale as Harry worked at the local butcher shop during the week while Marion looked after the home and eventually the 4 beautiful children they went on to have. Their weekends were spent by the ocean as Harry had a second love of his life, deep sea fishing. Marion would drop him off at the boat while he went out for the day, and she could spend the day relaxing by the beach or looking through the little shops along the wharf. They would meet back up at sunset, grab a scoop of ice cream each, and make their way back home or go off to dinner with some friends. Their first child, Adrian, was born within 2 years of their marriage, with Tempest, their only daughter, coming 2 years later. Much to their surprise, Christian and Eric decided to make a grand entrance together when Tempest was 3 years old, and their lives were never busier. The family loved spending time together and would often take holidays back up to Nelson Bay to visit Marion's parents. While their lives were never easy, Marion and Harry loved each other more than anything in this world. Adrian explained to me the other day that they had a love like no other, and would still make sure they held hands no matter where they were, even up to the day Marion passed away 5 years ago. Tempest spoke of her parents' love story as if it were written in the stars. Their love continued to grow over the 45 years of marriage, through 4 children, 4 grandchildren, including Zale, Dylan, Kai, and Fletcher. Many houses, a lot of jobs, and Harry's love of deep sea fishing, which saw them attend many competitions over the years. It is such a bittersweet memory for his family today as they remember the love Harry held for his fishing. While he passed doing something that he absolutely loved, it still doesn't take away the pain of the loss we all feel today. His best mate Franco, who has been by his side since high school, was there with him in his final moments, and the family want to give a special thanks to him today. There was no Harry without Franco, and Harry's children are so grateful their father got to experience such an incredible friendship over the years. So while Harry's family remember the incredible angling expert he was, as shown by the numerous trophies sitting in the pool room at home, they also want to make note of the remarkable husband, father, and pa he was. He will always be remembered as a larrikin who loved the water just as much as he loved his family. I would now like you all to pay attention to the screen behind me as we watch a beautiful presentation put together by Harry's daughter Tempest of the incredible life Harry lived throughout his 70 years. Thank you. Harry's best friend Franco would like to come up and say a few words. Thank you, Franco. What a remarkable friendship the two of you had. Okay. May I please ask you all to stand as I say the words of the committal. While the body of Harry will leave us now, we will still keep alive in our hearts the joyful memories of a dear husband, father, son, brother, friend, and pa. Loving and tenderly, we return his body to the elements from which it came. We are glad that Harold George Smith lived. We are glad that we saw his face and felt the pressure of his hand. We cherish the memory of his family life and the legacy he will leave. We cherish his friendships and most of all, we cherish his love. As the music plays, feel free to come down and place a flower on his coffin as you say your final goodbye. As we close today's ceremony, the family of Harry wish to invite you all back to the Windale RSL to share your stories and memories of Harry with them all. I would now like you all to stand. Tenderly, loving, and humbly, we say our last goodbye to Harold George Smith. We remember with gratitude his deep love for his family and friends and his generous and passionate heart. Harry, your love lives on in all of us as we bid you farewell today.